Audio check. Audio check. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another Wednesday weekly live stream. My name is Peter and today I'm going to be talking to you about some brand new gaming gear. So before we get started, actually, just a little bit of a step back. A few weeks back we also did a stream about gaming gear. So just want to remind you guys what gaming gear is. So gaming gear is the name that we give to our gaming peripheral family. So as you can see behind me, that means keyboards, mice, mouse pads, headsets and controllers. So we've got a lot of products in there already, and today we're adding two brand new ones, which will be two new gaming keyboards. So I'll just quickly get them for you. Here is the GK80 and GK70 mechanical keyboards. And before we continue, you can actually win during the stream each of one of these keyboards. So how you do that is you ask your questions in the Facebook live chat. My colleagues are there trying to answer them, of course, as good as possible. And there will be some questions that will be selected to be answered by me during the live stream. And from those questions and the people that ask them, of course, we will select two lucky winners after the stream. So yeah, if you want to win any of these, one of these mechanical brand new Vigor keyboards, ask your questions in the chat and you will have a chance to win one of them today. Okay, so we've got two brand new keyboards, of course. Let's dive right in. Before we start, because I'm going to be unboxing them, of course, for you, and then later on I'm going to be playing some games for you as well. See if you can spot if I'm a pro or not. Anyway, just to give a little bit of an idea of pricing, of course, as well as a question we get a lot. And this is sometimes a difficult question for us because it can differ per region, and you know, each country has a different VAT taxes that applies on it. But straight off the bat, I can tell you that the MSRP, or the about price, what it should be, for the GK80 keyboard is around 169 euros or dollars, around that course. And for the GK70 should be around 129 euros or dollars. So this is something you can already keep in mind. Anyway, so two brand new keyboards. Let's start with the biggest one. So I'll just take the smaller one back here for a second. So the GK80. As you can see, Mystic Light, of course, it's a full RGB keyboard. You might also see, by the way, there's maybe a little Wall-E type of thing behind me. This is, of course, so you can see when I'm unboxing the product and showing you something up close, you can see pretty much what I'm seeing. So that's why this thing is kind of awkwardly staring me in the back here, in case you were wondering. Okay, so yeah, it's an RGB keyboard. It's mechanical, of course, and for mechanical, most gamers will know mechanical switches that you use are the Cherry MX ones are the most known and pretty much the best ones. This keyboard uses Cherry MX red RGB switches. So yeah, as you can see beside me, if I go to the right side, here you go. So there's a lot of different types of Cherry MX switches. These keyboards will be available in 2 flavors, Cherry MX red and Cherry MX Speed Silver. Now the big difference between these 2 switches is that silver has just a bit less travel time. So if you look and if you compare the specs here on this side, you will notice that the Speed Silver one has a less travel distance. So basically that just means that it has to travel less distance to get all the way down to register and all the way up again. So that's also where it gets the name Speed, because that'll be faster. It's faster to return into its initial position, so you'll be able to press down and tap multiple times faster. The Cherry MX red key has been created by Cherry to be the ultimate gaming key, and you will notice that a lot of, especially the major keyboard producers and manufacturers are using this key, and actually it is one of the best gaming keys. Both keys are linear switches, which means that the force to press it in will be the same all the way through, down and up. So some keys have different. And also it has no audible click. So some of the, I think it's the MX Brown switches that when you click them you can actually hear an additional audible click inside the mechanism. These keys do not have that. They're not completely silent either, but and you will hear that later on when I'm demoing it for you, but you know, it doesn't have the audible click that you might hear some of these keyboards have. So that's the switches, and of course, why do you choose Cherry MX switches and mechanical switches? Because they have an exceptionally long lifespan. They're rated for over 50 million times usage, and you know, they're not cheap. They're quite expensive actually, but it's an investment. So these keys and keyboards will last you years if you take care of them and use them correctly. So. Yeah, it's really good value, that. So these are of course it's using the MX red keys and the RGB ones at that. So if we look up close, you know, on the color box, just the over the shoulder view, here we go. So as you can see on the box, it says on the back side Cherry MX red. Some other things I can show you is, of course, you can use the Mystic Light software from MSI to do all kinds of really cool, crazy RGB effects and to synchronize it with other hardware. There's a wrist rest included, which I will show you. It's inside the box. Some really cool extra keycaps. So this really is something that's quite unique. I haven't seen this in other boxes, so I'm really excited to show you this part. And some other things which, you know, obviously I will show you once I get it out of the box. So, all right, let's start unboxing this guy. So it comes in a sleeve. I'll just put that back here, and inside is a sleek black box, which you open like so. And once we open it up, we see the protected keyboard. So let's see, here we go. And this one has quite a nice weight to it, which is nice for a keyboard. That's what you want to see. A nice long braided wire with two connectors there. Let's take the protective cover off. Here we go. Shift this one here. So as you can see, it has 2 USB connectors. Labeled, each are labeled. So one is for general, you know, just for the keyboard, and so that the PC registers everything you do. And one actually says hub, hubba hubba. So why does it say hub? Well, you might have seen already on the back of the keyboard, but when we look at the back here, we can see it has actually a USB hub. This USB hub, by the way, is USB 2.0, and it's not really meant for charging your phone. This is perfect for connecting your other peripherals like a headset or a mouse, which I will also demonstrate in a bit. I've got a GM70 here, which I will connect. All right, so yeah, I mean, this is the first look at this keyboard. As you can see, it's nice and shiny. So a few things you might notice. Just a quick overview here. If we look at it from the side, we can see it uses what we call a floating key design. So it's it looks like the keys are floating on top of the keyboard surface. The surface is made of anodized aluminum, so it has a quite nice, the brushed finish to it. And the floating design actually makes it not only look cool, obviously, and the LED light can shine out from under the keys quite nicely because there's a lot of space here, but also it makes it quite easy to clean. So with mechanical keys, if you don't know yet, but those who know mechanical keys will know that it's very easy to take off the keycaps like this. You will see here's the Cherry MX red keycap, or a key switch, I mean, sorry. So when you remove all of them, it's quite easy to clean the surface, keep the keyboard nice and clean, which, you want it to be looking pristine and premium at all times, of course. So, and, you can pop the keycaps right back on like this, and it's just as new. Yeah, the anodized aluminum actually is quite thick as well. I'm seeing how I can show you guys this. If you look here on the side, you can actually see it's not like a really thin layer, but it's actually quite thick, and so that helps to make the keyboard a bit more weighty. But also definitely, you can't flex it. There's no flex. It's really tough, this keyboard. So yeah, I mean that makes it really really giving it a premium feel as well. I see we already have a question. Apparently a lot of people are asking, is it water resistant? Well, no, unfortunately. This one is not water resistant. So please don't submerge it in water or anything. It might hold up to a few drips of water here and there, as long as you make sure that you dry it up as soon as possible. But no, it's not one of those. I mean, I also have been following the news, of course. I also saw these keyboards that were actually, like, I think they had a test case where they were like in a shower or something, or it looked like that, and there was water running over it constantly. Who knows, maybe a future keyboard, another version of these will have that, but no, for these ones, please don't use water on them. Okay. Let's continue. Okay, we have we have a lot of so on top of the keyboard, next to the pass-through USB port, we have media control keys. So here you can see, play, pause, and volume control. So at all times, it's very easy to just, pause your music, or up or down the sound, the volume of the game or the tunes you're listening to. At the side of the keyboard, you will see there's a bit of like mysterious looking, or you might even say mystic looking milky glass here. That's actually, there's some RGB underneath here as well. So that I will show you in a bit, because it looks really cool. Looking at the keys, you might notice that, hey, pretty much all the keys are black, but there's 4 keys that are a different color here. This is one of the really special things about our new keyboards, because they feature custom gaming keycaps. Now these are actually on the keyboard when you take them out of the box, and these are of course on the WASD keys. So that's pretty much, in FPS games, this will be the movement keys that you use, and they are made from a different material. So there's actually, this is a metal finish on top of them. And they also feel differently. The shape of them is also different. I don't know if you can catch that really well, but as you can see, the edges actually raise up a little bit. So that's because you can, when you're gaming, you don't want to be looking at your keyboard too much. So it's really easy that way to find the right keys again, just by touch. So that's also really cool. And I see we have another question by Marcis Gracis. Is it hard to build a keyboard? Well, despite the sheer overwhelming number of keyboards out there that you can find, if you want to build something that's really good and ensure the quality and make sure you also bring something unique, yes, actually that's quite hard. I think for these ones, actually, we've had around 9 months of developing and research, and just yeah, making sure that we get the product exactly as we want it to be, and a lot of testing is involved as well, as you can imagine. So yeah, there's actually quite a lot of surprising lot of time behind this. Honestly, when I started out with the gaming gear, I didn't expect it to be that long, so I was surprised by it. But you know, if you want good products, then you need to put in the time. So, but thank you for asking, and I think that actually gets you into the pool to win one of these keyboards. So congratulations on that. So yeah, if any other people have any questions, you know, keep asking them, and that will get you into the pool to win one of these keyboards later. Okay. Looking at the bottom of the keyboard up close, just a few things to highlight. You know, it's not very spectacular, but we've got some really nice rubber feet here, of course, and some extendable footing here, so you can raise up the profile a bit. It's not very high. It doesn't really need to be. The keyboard itself is already a bit slanted, as you can see, so it already has this shape naturally. And now what I'll do is I will let's first show you a few other things outside of the box. So here in the box you can see there's also the gaming keycap. So I just showed you there's of course these 4 kind of custom keys on it. And what we do is inside the boxes, and this is both in the GK80 and the GK70 keyboard, there's a little box of gaming keycaps included. And when we open that up, you can see that there's a lot of things in here. So first off, a keycap puller. So this is especially for, you know, the keys that are like in the middle of an area that are hard to remove by hand. A keycap puller will help you with that, so that's really easy, and I will demonstrate it in a second as well, because I will replace one of these keys. If you don't like the metal keys of WASD, of course we deliver the normal WASD keys for you, so you can just replace them and have a fully normal keyboard as well. The rest of the keys here, keycaps, I think there's 12 of them actually, they have a really unique texture to them, and I'll just take the space bar out to show to you what I mean. These keycaps are actually, let's see if the camera can catch the light. So that, there you go. It has a rubberized, textured surface. So actually you can feel the difference here. It's not very rough, but it's just enough to feel. And the nice thing about this as well is it's double injection. So that means that this is not a sticker that's just put on top of the keycap. This is actually when molding the keys themselves, the plastic and this rubber layer are molded together. So there's no chance of it wearing off, it will stay put, and so that's really good quality as well. And you might also see, if we shine through here, you can see my finger maybe through the side of the keycap. So this also means that it will let through a little bit more light on the sides as well. I see we also have another question by Wojtek Sadowski. Can you set up macros with your software for the keyboard? Yes, you can, Wojtek. In the Gaming Center software that these keyboards have, no, not that one. Yes, that one. The Gaming Center software that you see behind me, you can set all kinds of macros, you can record them, and yeah, have full macro functionality as well. So that's one of the things we wanted to make sure that we support for gaming. There's a lot of games, of course, support and kind of benefit from these macros. So yes, we fully support that. Thank you for your question, and that also qualifies you for a chance to win one of these babies. Right, so let's continue. Yeah, so what I will do is I will shortly also just demonstrate the keycap puller for those who are not familiar with it as well. You know, one of these keys, just take the one of the metal keys here. Say you want to replace it with a texturized one. All you have to do is just, let's see how best to show this. Just put the keycap puller over the key and press down until you hear a click, like this. And then just pull the keycap and the key will come right out. Normally you would do this when it's down on the surface, so that was a little bit harder. Anyway, here we go. Then just pick one of the keys, one that you like. Here you go. We're just going to go for a texturized, rubberized one. And we can simply just put it over the cherry red switch here. Put it down and gently press down until it stays into place, and there we go. So that's really really easily done. So okay, we have a lot of keys here, but what was also inside the box is, of course, if you remember, a wrist rest. So I'll quickly take that one out for you. Here we go. Now you might notice this wrist rest is detached. So it's not actually attached to the keyboard itself, which is also something you don't find very often. So if you have the keyboard right here, what you can do is you can just put it right next to the keyboard, of course, or you can pull it back a bit. The reason why we've done this is because some of you might have the same experience as me. A lot of these keyboards with built-in or attached wrist rests, actually for me, are, and I don't know if I just have big hands or not, but we'll see. When I actually put my hands on it, and I'm, you know, the WASD for example, my wrist is actually on the table. It actually doesn't really touch, or only maybe just grazes the wrist rest. So that's actually more uncomfortable than comfortable. So that's why we give you the choice that, you know, you can of course put it right next to the keyboard and then it's really up close, like it would be as it would be attached. But you can also just, for me, I think it's like a finger, that I could put a finger in between would be the most ideal position. Because here my wrist, and by wrist I mean actually this part here, is actually resting nicely on the middle of the wrist rest. And that, you know, gives me a much better feeling when I'm playing. By the way, remember I told you the sound, so that these keys are not completely silent? Well, just listen to this. So as you can hear, you can quite clearly hear them, but there is not that tactile, that audible click. So when I push one of these keys down, it's just the keycap hitting the bottom basically that you hear. And it's not too loud, so. Okay, so this wrist rest, I see by the way we have another question by Gareth Sharp. What RGB effects are with the software? Well, you can choose of course from millions of colors and a lot of predefined effects, some of which I will show you in a minute as well. And actually one of the cool things about this keyboard as well, or actually both keyboards I'm showing you today, is that you can actually do a lot of these effects without having to install any software, which I personally also I find great, you know, because I'm already installing a lot of software, and of course, you know, if you want very specific effects or you want to synchronize effects all across your components, then the software is great, you know. But if you just want some quick effects and you know, put some I don't know, some rainbow running from left to right or the other side, you know, you can actually do that on these keyboards without having to install a single piece of software. So that I will also show you. Thanks for your question, Gareth. By the way, talking about the wrist rest, because we're just going to return to that now. I also saw a question pop by that was asking, is the wrist rest magnetically attached? This one is not, no. So actually we didn't do that because you know, usually either you have it very close to the keyboard or I actually attach. So if you want to attach it, then magnets of course are great, but if you want to just put it here, you would, you know, just a little bit apart, then you would have the risk of the magnets just pulling it closer again. So we didn't want to do that. But you know, it is a great suggestion and we have thought about it. But again, you know, for the full functionality, we didn't think we should do it. This wrist rest, you might think, well, you know, it's like smaller, and you know, you might be concerned that it will just move all over the place. Actually, it's very sturdy. If you can see this side, this is actually quite heavy metal. So if you can hear this when I hit it against my ring, this isn't plastic. This is metal, and it has, I think it's 6 feet here, some rubber feet, if you can see that. So when you put your, especially when you put your wrist on that, it is quite nice and secure. So actually, when I put my wrist on this and I'm trying to move it, I'm actually rocking the table right now. So that's, it don't worry, it won't move much. Also, you will find the same rubberized texture on this wrist rest. So here you can see. It's the same texture actually that you will find on the side grips of our mice. And the same shape and texture you will also find on our graphics cards, for example, on the back of the backplate and on some shrouds. So yeah, it's fully synchronized in style and yeah, completely MSI gaming. And we have, of course, a little quick guide, and I will demonstrate some of the things that's in here. The most important thing you will find in here is actually, let me see if I can find it real quick. Here we go. Is this. So because here you can see all the macros and shortcuts basically and hotkeys that you can do without installing any software. These are hardwired into the keyboard itself, and a lot of these are, for example, to do with the RGB functionality, which I will show you right now. So let's see if we can. By the way, before we do that, we have another question. Paul Guerrero. I absolutely love the WASD metal keys. Having used only plastic keycaps, how do they feel? Are they slippery? Say you suffer from clammy hands. I don't know how to word it. Don't say anything. I know exactly how you feel. I kind of have the clammy hands too. I think I get you. Actually, that was something that I was, when I first saw this and they mentioned it to me that we had this, and I thought, okay, well, how will that work out? Actually, the metal, it is a metal topping, but it's not. It doesn't turn cold really. So even if you get cold hands a lot, it's also something that I don't think it will impact your gaming experience too much. But these things actually, I don't know if the camera can catch this, but they're not like fully shiny. They're more like a matte finish. So yeah, that also it's a little bit. I think it's about the same. I would have to say. The plastic might just be a little bit more resistant, basically. So it might be a little bit slippery, but especially the fact that these are shaped basically outwards. So they will always point outwards to where you have your fingers pointing. So this will help you to not slip out of them, basically. If anything, it will help you to concentrate in the area of WASD. But yeah, great question. Thanks, Paul. Yeah. Okay, let's get back because we're going to demonstrate some RGB effects. I'll just put the box down here. For this, I'm going to ask my lovely assistant to help to turn down the lights once we've got it ready. So first, here, I've got it connected. Of course, this is a Trident PC, by the way, and I will be gaming on this later as well. This one has a GTX 1060 inside. And of course, one of our latest gaming monitors with the RGB as well. So yeah, I mean, this just completes the whole set, obviously. But as you can see, it's already lighting up a bit. We're now going to dim the lights. I myself will dim one of them as well. Ooh, here we go. Okay. So let's see. It's lighting up in one color now, as you can see, a single color. And as you can see, the strip at the edges of the keyboard are working along quite nicely. So they will follow the effects that you choose. So as you can see, also because of the floating key design, there's a lot of light. Basically, well, I think you would call it bleeding from out under the keys, but not so much as because when you just hold it out like this in front of you, it's not quite that much that it will shine into your eyes too much. And as you can see, the keys that we replaced, or that are actually in there by default here, they're already letting through a bit more light. And of course, this is also to highlight this area, basically. So if you would look down, that you would instantly recognize, ah, okay, there's my WASD. The cool thing is that by using the dragging key here, and just some simple commands like the arrow keys, I can cycle through effects, like so. So as you can see here, we have a nice rainbow effect. And actually there are some other shortcuts here as well that will let me determine the speed. So I think this will speed it up. There you go. But I can also change the direction of the effect. So if I wanted to go it from right to left, I just press this one a few times and it will go in the opposite direction. And this is without any software, so this is just based on shortcuts on the keyboard. And there are some, of course, some more effects. If I go back to the single color, I can very easily say I want to have it very bright or tone down the brightness, as you can see, or even completely off. There's a lot of levels of brightness here. So there's already a lot of RGB customization and functionality that you can do without installing any kind of software. And as you can see, here's a nice effect where basically light effects shoot out from whichever key you press. Yeah, there's a lot of really nice effects that are already pre-installed, basically. A nice breathing effect as well, which you can either slow down or speed up. This one's really slow, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of really simple things that you can do without installing any software. And I have to say, I mean, with the camera it's always a bit tricky to catch the light effects really well, but just trust me when I say that it looks really nice. It's not too bright, so it's not really so bright that it will mess with your eyes in a dark room when you're gaming. I'll turn the light back on now. But it's just bright enough so that you can still see it, you know, because you do want to, if you're into the RGB thing and you are doing some effects, you do want to be able to see it quite well. So yeah, we have another question by Hugo Ekinge. How do you best take care of a keyboard, cleaning it and so on? That's an excellent question. One that I've struggled with a lot during my years of gaming, because these things do get dirty. I mean, you drink, you eat, you know, sometimes. That's why, again, you know, these keyboards, I have a similar design myself with the floating keys. This is actually quite nice. If you have a keyboard that's water repellent, then it's kind of easy. Just dip it in water, maybe, you know, soak it a little bit and let it dry off. But with these things, it's actually really easy. As I showed you earlier, you know, you just remove the keycaps basically. And by the way, just a tip from me, we were testing this earlier on, and I had the keyboard connected, and I was, you know, doing some switching of keys and stuff. Just disconnect the keyboard first, because you never know, you know, what the key presses are actually doing. So I was actually typing some chat messages to colleagues who were saying, "Are you okay? Are you having a stroke?" Or because it was just, you know, gibberish basically. Anyway, so I'll do that now as well. But you can very easily just take off the keys, and once you take them off, as you can see, I'll just see if I can remove a few more very carefully. There's there's plenty of space. Let's see if I can put it on the camera. So there's plenty of space here, and so it's very easy to take just a damp cloth. That should be enough. Just take it in between the keys basically, and just clean the surface here. So it's very accessible then. And then the keycaps themselves can also get dirty. Obviously, you know, your fingers, they will give off some skin at some point. And when you've got them off here, you can actually just very easily wash them or scrub them, whatever, and dry them off, and it'll be as good as new. I mean, I've done this a few times now because, you know, it happens, especially if you're a gamer who games every day. Yeah, and you want your keyboard to look really good. You know, you don't want the dirty keyboard. And buying a new one every time it gets dirty, you know, that's a little bit too much. So yeah, cleaning the keyboard that way is really easy. Microfiber, by the way, microfiber cloth helps really well. So thank you for the question, Hugo. Also, that I think qualifies you for the giveaway. So yeah, again, you can win this Vigor GK80 keyboard by asking your question, and the other keyboard coming up as well. What I will do now is I will demonstrate some pro gameplay by reconnecting the GK80, and then I will see if I can return the camera a little bit, get it a little bit closer. Here we go. So we've got the close-up cam. I will set up a little bit closer, so here you can see my my desktop. What I've done here is I've already loaded up the game. What I will do is, as you can see here, I've got the keyboard, and I will connect the GM70 mouse here. Ooh, let's see, here's on the camera. The GM70 mouse, which was one of our latest mice, and I will connect it directly onto the keyboard using the USB pass-through port. So here you go. And I like my keyboard to stand up a bit, so here we go. And then I'll go into the game. So here we go. To be honest, let's just play offline with bots. It's just so that you guys can see how easy it is also to find the WASD key, especially for a game like Counter-Strike, which is what I just started up. WASD, and maybe, you know, you can even, if you have trouble remembering or keeping track of the keys and you know which one is a nade or whatever, you can just switch out the number key, like number 4 for one of the texturized keys, and that will just make it very easy for you to remember. Ah, okay, yeah, that one's a nade, you know, and easily select it, and there you go. So yeah, I'll just auto select and see what I can do. And I'll try to keep myself down a bit as well. This is a really awkward position, by the way. And of course, we're just going to take the AWP out for a spin. Let's see if we can find somebody. We are CT. Okay, so we need to find some terrorists. Wow. Got someone behind us already. Oh, there we go. Okay, that was a CT. And so it's very easy now to for me to keep track of where my hands are and not slide off the WASD keys, also the number keys, you know. And I could make it even easier by, wow, okay, that was a shot and a half. Woo. So I can make it very easy for myself to know which keys are what without having to look, or, you know, just, you know, without having to use the scroll wheel. A lot of people will do this, right? They'll just use the scroll wheel until they find the weapon or, you know, the nade they're looking for. Oh yeah. Oh, I got an achievement as well. Lovely. Wow. Okay. Okay. Oh, can we? Oh! Oh, alright, well, we got killed there. So yeah, I mean, just looking at that, I hope you guys were able to see it, because I might have, you know, put my shoulder in front of it, but the placement of the keys is such that, you know, it's just really easy. And as you can see, you know, I was complaining about how awkward it was to play like this, but even though that was the case, this keyboard and the way I could just find the keys made it so much easier for me to do so. And I see we have a question, by the way, so I'll just yeah. We have another question from, okay, how am I going to pronounce this? Christina, I think that was the easy part. Yanku, I hope I pronounced that right. Is it possible to change the brightness of the WASD part separately per key lighting? Yes, it is actually. I think you can actually do that in the menu without installing any software, but I think it's easier to do that in the software. So you can do it in both ways. So yes, it is definitely possible. I'm not going to do that here because, you know, it take a bit of time, and you probably won't be able to see the difference that well on camera. But yeah, I mean, indeed, especially because these keys let through a little bit more light. The custom metallic keys. So basically on, yeah, as you can see here, but honestly on camera it catches a bit more light than in real life. So to be honest, I'm just looking at the feed myself now as well, and it does look like a bit of like laser type light. It's not quite that bad, I have to tell you. But yes, you can definitely tone it down, or even, you know, just turn them off completely if you don't like the lights and but you do like the custom keys. You know, you can do either. You don't have to have both. So you can fully customize that as you want it. Thank you for that question, Christina, and congratulations for also placing yourself as a someone who can win these prizes. By the way, I almost forgot to show you something. So let's get back. I'll just see if I can return the camera here. You can you can see it's a little bit of a manual undertaking here, but underneath the wrist rest here, you might notice there's a little bit of a rubber gap here as well, and a rubber stop that you can take out, like so. And this shape might look familiar as well. So some of you might already know where I'm going with this. But with all the keycaps that we deliver with the keyboard, you know, you might want to take this box with you everywhere you go. But for those who don't, and who just want to take the keys, what you can do is you can take the keys, the keycaps out, and it's actually the same shape pretty much as the keycaps themselves. So what you can do is, once you figure out how to do it, not like me, here we go. So as you can see, if you just choose the right angle, oh, actually, no, wait, I've got the wrong one. Here we go. With these keycaps, let's see if I can hold it in front of the camera, and it's gone. So you can actually, all the keycaps that we deliver with the product itself, they will slide right into your wrist rest. So if you want to keep them handy and want to swap them out in between, if you're playing a competition at a LAN party or whatever, and you play different games and you just want to swap out keys in between games, you can very easily just keep them in your wrist rest so you don't lose them. And then you can just pop the little rubberized stop back in to prevent them from falling out. So that's also quite a nice feature that I noticed after we got the keyboard, and I thought it was quite nifty that they thought of that. We have another question I see from a lot of people. Are the keycaps also available separate, and what are the prices? Unfortunately, as far as I know, the keycaps are not available separately. We deliver them with the keyboard themselves. So at the moment, the only way to get them is to buy one of the keyboards. But if you want them separately, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe in the future we will sell them separately anyway. I know that there's a lot of shops where you can buy customized keycaps as well. And yeah, who knows, maybe we will start selling them separately as well. But at the moment, no, that you can only get them with the keyboards. So they're already included there. The prices of the keyboards, I'll just repeat as well. For the GK80, the MSRP, or the price to aim for, is about $169 or 169 euros. And for the GK70, it's about 129 US dollars or euros. Thank you for that question. All right, so let's see. All right, so that's pretty much what I can show you about the GK80. So I'll just try and tidy up a little bit here, and I'll disconnect the GK80. There we go. Because it is now time for its little brother. Here we go. The Vigor GK70, which you might think looks a little bit less impressive, but I can tell you it is definitely not. The Vigor GK70 has a lot of similarities to the GK80, but it also has a few major differences. One of the major differences you can maybe already see from the visual on the box as well is it's a model that we call TKL, which is short for 10 keyless. And that stems from most keyboards have a I'm not sure if you can see that. Yeah, have a numpad. This one does not, and the numpad is in some cases called a 10 key. So that's where the term 10 keyless comes from. So as you can see here, it has no numpad. So this keyboard is actually aimed at people who don't have a lot of space, or who just like a very minimalistic approach to hardware as well. and it looks really nice, I have to say. And you know, this is for example, when you go to LAN parties or something, you don't have that much space on your table, or just when you have a small desk and you don't use the numpad anyway, then this keyboard is great for you, or the 10 keyless solution. Of course, you can say here Mystic Light as well, Cherry MX keys, so that's what it's got in common with the GK80. Looking at the back of the box, again, it's this one has the Cherry MX red RGB switches. Of course, it's also available with the Speed Silver switches if you prefer that. It also has the extra keycaps, as you will see inside the box. And of course, it's supported by Mystic Light software for the full functionality and synchronizing it with all the software, all the hardware from both MSI, but also from our partners like Corsair, for example. So to fully customize and synchronize up your RGB experience. So let's unbox these. By the way, I'm seeing a question pop up as well. After I finish showing you this keyboard, I will put the GK80 and GK70 side by side, so you can see the difference of the keyboards physically side by side. So I'll just take the sleeve off this one. And again, just a nice understated subtle black box. And as we open it, we're greeted with a protected keyboard, which we will take out. A lot of rustling noise, of course, when we try to wrestle the cable out of it. Woo, nice long cable. Okay, put this aside and let's take off the protective cover. Here we go. And there it is. So as you can see, it's a minimalistic approach to the keyboard. So no numpad. It does have the anodized aluminum base. So that also means that it's also very sturdy. So even though it's smaller and it's a little bit lighter than the GK80, it's still very sturdy. And I mean, even if I tried, I can't really flex this keyboard. So it is still really, really sturdy. Nice question, by the way, Borislav Vukojic. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm definitely going to pronounce your question right. Yes, it can run Crysis, if you have the right PC for it, of course. So when you're using a Trident, for example, that I've got here, it will run Crysis. And yeah, I mean, maybe we'll make keyboards like you know, with a screen attached here that you can actually play Crysis just on your keyboard. But we're not quite there yet. But thanks for the great suggestion and the question. Anyway, it's just one of those questions that always keep popping up, doesn't it? Okay, so let's continue. So the GK70, a bit smaller. It doesn't have a wrist rest, as you can see. It's also, there isn't a wrist rest in the box. This again, because it's a minimalistic approach to the keyboard. Let's see. It has the same 4 keys, of course, so that I showed you, and also in the box you will see here the gaming keycaps. The same number, by the way, the exact same number. So they're also the same number of keycaps included for the GK70 and the keycap puller, of course. So I don't have to show you that because you've already seen it. And of course the guide with all the shortcuts, of course. So that's pretty much what's inside the box. So let's get rid of the box. So what else can I show you about the GK70? Yeah, there's something nice on this keyboard. Actually, the GK80 has this as well. Our new keyboard, so the GK80 and the GK70, have a link to the MSI Gaming app. So if you have MSI Gaming graphics card and or motherboard, you will know that the gaming app allows you to switch profiles between an OC mode, so overclocked, so a little bit higher clock speeds, of course, to a gaming mode, which is basically the best balance between performance and noise, so less noise but still really good performance. And you've got the silent mode, so that's basically if you're just not using your PC or doing very light work and you want to make sure that it doesn't make any noise and also doesn't use as little power as possible. You can use the silent mode. So we've actually included, in the close-up view you might be able to see it here on the keycaps, we've included 2 rows on the side facing you of the insert home page up, you know, that clutch of keys here. And the top row is the icons for the CPU. So if you have an MSI gaming motherboard and you press the dragon key and any of these profiles, so this is OC, this is gaming, and this is silent mode, and the same thing applies for the graphics card. So you don't have to switch out of your game to switch to another mode. So that's quite cool. If you're just running the gaming app in the background and you press one of these shortcuts, it will automatically just go to the corresponding mode, so OC mode or gaming mode. Of course, during gaming you don't want to switch to silent mode. But yeah, I mean, that's quite cool. We made a link there to existing software and technology on our other products, so that when you guys already have MSI gaming hardware in your system, well, you get just a few extra benefits, don't you? All right, looking over the keyboard itself as well, again in the close-up view. Well, it's quite small. It's, as I mentioned, it's a bit lighter as well. And on the back, you will see also the feet, and of course the extended, well, little extended feet here as well with rubberized coating. And this keyboard also has a little bit of surprise, because we had it in mind, you know, that this keyboard you can take with you to LAN parties, for example, and there, you know, you always have to just, you know, put the cable around the keyboard, and it's not really good for the cable. So what we've done here is you can actually disconnect the cable. And I'm also seeing a question pop up, which I think you guys will be asking now as well, like, is it wireless? Is it wireless? No, unfortunately, this one is not wireless. This is, again, because we want to make sure that you have the best possible, the lowest possible latency, let's put it that way, to your PC, and that's always better with a wire. So we didn't want to include any wireless possibility in here just yet. Again, maybe in a future line we will, but for these it doesn't apply. But the benefits of being able to disconnect the cable is, firstly, it's much easier than to just, you know, you can just put this one in your bag and the cable separately, you know, like this. You can just keep them separate. But also, if you're like me or someone I know, and you have a pet or a very hungry chair with hungry wheels that can run over your cable or damage it, in some cases that means you have to buy an entirely new product. But for this one, of course, you can just replace the cable and then you're golden. So again, added benefit of the detachable cable. We have another question I see. David Cothran. Are those braided cords on both keyboards? Yes, David, it's a great question. I don't know if I can show it to you in the camera really well. But yes, these are all braided on the GK80 as well. The GK80, by the way, you could not disconnect the cable there, but it was also very much braided. Yeah, so again, also for durability, for making sure it doesn't stick. Also, rubber cables tend to be, you know, especially for mice that kind of, you know, they tend to catch on the cable or something. Braided, no way, you know, they just slide. Anyway, so I'll just quickly put the cable back in place. There we go. And then on the sides, there's also a little bit of a curious thing, because you might think, well, you know, it's like an inverted edge here, and why does it have to look a bit shiny and a mirror finish, right? Well, let me just connect the keyboard and it will all become clear. So again, just connect it to the PC. Am I doing it right? Oh, USB, you know, it's always a 50-50 chance, isn't it? Here we go. So it's on, it's working. You can probably see it better here. Here we go. Yes. And when we switch to the side, haha, we can see there's actually some light coming out here. I don't know if it's dark enough so you can actually see it. So yeah, again, also this is kind of like a subtle way of, you know, it's an understated keyboard, and we've gone for the minimalistic route, of course, for this model, but we still wanted to add some extras as well. And if nothing else, this will, it's not like in your face, it's quite subtle, but if it's dark enough in your room and you kind of want that, what it will do is, put it down on the table here as well, is it will just emit a bit of a glow here as well. So it's just a little bit of a little nice extra that we've included. And also for this keyboard, you know, it's the same story. You can just really easily, same shortcuts, change the effects without installing any software. Instantly just use the shortcuts and you're good to go. See, we have another question, by the way, by Lucy Reed. How's the NK rollover? It's great. These keyboards obviously have a full N key rollover, so actually it doesn't really matter how many keys you press at the same time. Let me do that and see if the system crashes, but I doubt it. You know, just pressing them all at the same time, and you know, it's no problem. The system registers all of them. So if you want to face palm face first into your keyboard, rest assured, all your characters will be recorded and it will all show up. So yeah, good question. Thank you, Lucy. So again, you know, also for gamers, especially for the MMORPGs where you have to very quickly use a lot of macros, you can definitely use the NK rollover. Yeah, congratulations, Lucy. You also qualify for winning one of the keyboards. So again, both the GK80 and the GK70 I'm holding right now are up for grabs. And you can win one of them if you manage to ask one of the questions that get selected. Okay. So yeah, basically this one is a very simple keyboard compared to the GK80. And I'll also I'll attempt to play a bit of a game with this one. So see if I can entertain you guys. Now, this time around, see if we can spice things up by playing a game that I'm a little bit less used to as well. So that would be so the bots have been partying in the server without me. So let's see if we can play a little bit of World of Tanks and see how fast I can get killed. I used to play this game a long time ago, and recently I've gotten back into looking at it because there's a new patch coming, the 1.0, with a new graphics engine. It looks amazing. So I thought, you know, why not have another look at it and see if it works. I did make a new account just for this stream because I didn't want to use my my personal credentials. So we're kind of in a noob account. I believe I have a tier 3 German tank. Let's see what we can do. Here we go. Okay, so there's all kinds of stuff we've been doing apparently. Okay, so yeah, we have a Panzer 38T. Now, for those of you who know World of Tanks and who watch some streamers, yes, I'm Dutch, and I'm also aware that the Dutch streamer Circumflexes is, well, Dutch, obviously, but that doesn't mean we're all as good as him. I mean, I've seen his videos. He is insanely good at this game. I'm so jealous. But let's see if we can, you know, for the memes, let's see if we can do him a favor and get a good game on Ruhenberg, or what is it? Oh, actually, it's Himmelsdorf. So, and again, if you're just move the close-up cam a bit closer. Here we go. So you can see my finger movements. So as you can see, you know, it's very easy to find the WASD keys, which also for World of Tanks, you know, you use most of the time. Let's see, we'll just get right into the middle here. Move out of the way. Okay. By the way, if you notice, I don't know if you guys can see this on the screen, top left, but you can see the FPS. And again, you know, this is running on the Trident PC. Oh wow, this Panther 1C really wants to die.
Enemy armor is damaged.
But you can actually, you can very easily. Wow, this guy just ran me out of the way. So 60 FPS, and I've got all the settings on ultra, so that's really, yeah, really nice and easy on this PC. You can handle it no sweat, no problem. I probably should have hit him there. Circon is probably face palming so hard right now. apologize. We're of a forgiving nature. Let's see. They've got 3 tanks in our cap. That's okay. Looks like we're gonna do this one. Maybe we shouldn't have very much this side of the map under steam mode as well. Okay. Tanks around this corner are already damaged. Okay, no. Nope. Unfortunately, we've lost. Anyway, so one thing I promised you guys to do, and I'll just finish the stream off with that as well, after my epic fail in trying to impress you with my World of Tanks, is I will show you both keyboards next to each other. So, here we go. I'll move this camera out of the way. Here we go. Okay. All right. So I'll disconnect this one as well. Okay. So as you can see, here is the GK80 and the GK70. So that's pretty much, maybe even see if I can fit it right. So it's basically just a keyboard without the numpad, and a bit more of a minimalistic approach. The size as well. Let's see if we can get it. There we go. Oh, okay, maybe in the side view here. Yeah. So as you can see, actually the GK70 rises up at the back just a little bit more than the GK80. Not sure if you can actually see that quite well. And I mean, both of them feel really good, really premium. And just a different approach, a different take on gaming. So you know, you can just take whatever, whichever one you like best, and will suit you best. Again, GK80 with the pass-through USB port, which was powering my GM70 mouse and the media controls. GK70 with basically a clean backside. Again, guys, GK80 should be around 169, so 169 euros or dollars thereabouts, depending on your country, and even your e-tailers can decide if they want to put something else on that price or not. And the GK70 should be around 129 euros or dollars. There you go. So yeah, if anybody has any more questions, I think this is the time. If not, then I think we're gonna end the stream right here. Next week, by the way, my colleague Martijn is going to have 10,000 US dollars to play around with and make a great gaming rig build. So I'm really excited to see what he comes up with, and if he manages to not only build something, but who knows, even break it, because he's known to be a bit of an overclocker. So yeah, who knows. But yeah, 10K to play around with, man, that would be nice. So yeah, tune in next week to find out what he's gonna do with all that money. Maybe he's just gonna put it in a suitcase and run off. So yeah, next week, Wednesday, 7th of March, same time, 4 p.m. CET, 8 a.m. PST. So if you're in the US, you know, you can just eat your breakfast and join us in the live stream while you're doing it. Make sure you join us, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining. I'm out.